Boom! We're here. The most important thing is that we made it. We shouldn't focus on the fact that I'm almost, 9 minutes late? Honestly, really, I didn't intend to. Sometimes it just happens that way. It does. I've got a glass full of ice. This is ice water. You know, did I tell you I read somewhere? Because, information spreads so fast, you sort of lose track. You don't know what's right, what's left, what's wrong, and what's correct. I heard it. I heard it on TikTok that drinking ice water is not good for you. I'm thinking, why not? Why wouldn't ice water be good for me? Oh, no, it's not good for you because whatever the reasons they gave, some medical jargon that they use to describe the negative effects of drinking cold water. It's October. We're bleeding into November. It's the hot season. Why wouldn't I drink? What's wrong with me drinking a glass full of ice water? No, don't drink cold water. It must be warm so that the food digests properly. The food will digest fine, even with cold ice water. For goodness sake, give me a break. In this heat, that's the best possible thing to drink. All right, guys, let's get into it. It's a beautiful Monday, Monday afternoon. It's almost lunchtime. Once again, forgive me for jumping on here late. I did say 12:30. It is 12:40 now, a whole 10 minutes. And this is Simoson. That happens sometimes. It does. Guys, if you could swing and sling this broadcast around to people that you think would be interested in this conversation, I'd be very grateful. Please do it. Also, tell me in the comments if I am loud and clear, because I need to know that for my own peace of mind, for my own sanity. I need to know that we're loud and clear and that this broadcast is clear. I'm going to check it out on my monitor. I'm going to suss it out here. Now, okay. 10 minutes. All right. And this is Simoson. There we go. I think we're good. Sound is good. The last thing you want is there not to be sound. Guys, let's get into it. I just want to jump on very quickly. A few weeks ago, it might have been 3 weeks, I'm sitting and I'm scrolling through my news feed, and I come across a video that was very aesthetically, it was beautiful. Do you know what it means? Do you know what aesthetically means? It appeared that it was well shot. The lighting was perfect. The angling was perfect. The set was perfect. It was a video of a young man sitting in a very opulent office chair, a black office executive chair. And he's in what appears to be an office. And he's shooting a video addressing the camera, the audience, and he begins to talk about his desire to put his name forward for presidency or to be part of the elective process. And at first glance, I thought to myself, well, who's this young man? Who is he? How many people know that the moment you vie for the presidency, the moment you announce that you want to be president, it doesn't matter how insignificant you think you are. It doesn't matter how significant you think you are. It doesn't matter how inconsequential you think you are. It doesn't matter how consequential you think you are. The moment you say, I want to put my name forward for leadership, guess what happens? A huge, gigantic, colossal, mammoth, leviathan of a light starts to shine on you. And now the people that you say you want to lead via the vehicle of presidency, they take a closer look at you. They want to know everything there is to know about you. They want to tap into your character, what type of person you are, what type of leader you are. All these things are the right thing to do, because countries that have a democracy, a viable democracy, they do this. They scrutinize. The electorate scrutinizes who you are. So, I'm sitting there and I'm watching this young man, and apparently his name is Kelvin Kaunda. Now, Lusaka being a small town, and given the fact that, I'm above 50 years old, I've met pretty much almost everybody. Now, when I say everybody, it's the Greek word synecdoche. Synecdoche doesn't mean every single solitary person. It's like when you go to a party and you say, who was there? Oh, everybody was there. It doesn't mean the whole world was there. It just means key people were there. Okay? And I might have met Kelvin Kaunda. I'm pretty sure I have. And I want to say from the very outset of this broadcast and this video, I'm not here to disdain him in any way. I'm not here to vilify him in any way. I'm not here to castigate him in any way. I'm simply here to talk about the recent events that have begun to happen around his name and his persona. The only thing I will say, though, about his video when he first announced that he was running for president, or at least that's the gist that I got. I got the vibe that he was putting his name forward for the presidency. The only thing that worried me was the way he pronounced certain words, and this is just an observation. Tell me in the comments if you felt the way that I felt. This was my observation. He starts to talk, and my understanding is that he was or is the proprietor of Eden Institute or something like that, and he has ties to a learning institution here in Zambia. And when I learned that he was the proprietor of a major learning institution, and that I listened to the way he said certain words, I'm sorry, that bothered me. For example, he said, if I can remember, he said, hello, everybody. Everybody? Everybody. No, you shouldn't say that. I mean, you really honestly should not be saying everybody. You shouldn't say I was. I was? No. It's I was, and it's hello, everybody. This may sound inconsequential to you, to some of you, but there are people within the electoral pool that will hear that and immediately they will be turned off. They'll say, well, you want to run for president, you're going to have to speak better. You're going to have to enunciate your words better. Yes, we know English is not everything, but the lack of it is. It's like sex in a marriage. I keep giving you this example. When you've got a viable marriage that has sex within its repertoire, sex is not the problem. The moment you remove sex from a marriage, that becomes the problem. So, sex isn't everything, but the lack of it is. Money isn't everything, but the lack of it is. In the same vein, by the same token, English is not everything. But if you're running for president in an English-speaking country, that can be a problem. And all I'm trying to say to you is the way he pronounced certain words bothered me. They did. Look, we're not all first-round picks. Every one of us struggles with certain words. But if you're struggling with basic pronunciation, that bothers me. as a voter, as part of the electoral pool, that bothers me. It hurts. So I'm not going to be going in that direction. Now, there's some of you, that's fine for you. That's not a problem for you. And you're fine to think that way. But for me in my house, that's a problem. The Americans call it a game changer. That's a deal breaker. That's a deal breaker for me. So anyway, so he does his thing, and he announces via or through this video that he's thinking of becoming president. And then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, this guy, Kelvin Kaunda, was part of the top brass of the Socialist Party. You guys know the Socialist Party, Fred Membe's Socialist Party. Kelvin Kaunda was a member of the Central Committee for the Socialist Party. He was a national youth chairman. Just recently here on the Copper Belt, there was a provincial youth chairman by the name of Warren Mulenga, who has recently left the Socialist Party because somehow he feels disgruntled that Kelvin Kaunda has been removed from Socialist Party. But here's my question, and I want you to hear me on this and hear me out. And I'm trying to understand the logic. If you announce that you want to be president of Zambia, yet you are serving in the capacity of national youth chairman in another political party, and then you announce, now that political party already has a president, namely Fred Membe. Dr. Fred Membe is the president of the Socialist Party. Kelvin Kaunda is a member, a top brass, or at least he was up until recently, a member, a top brass member. Top brass means baja bachikulire bacha bali aba olo badia bali apa mwamba, the bourgeoisies of the Socialist Party. Kelvin Kaunda was a member, a top brass member of that party, Socialist Party, that already has a president. Why then announce that you are going to run for president, but you're a member of the Central Committee, you're the Youth National Chairman of the SP, the Socialist Party? Why announce that you're going to be president? There's a word for that. It's called usurping authority. Tell me in the comments if you're familiar with that phraseology. Usurping authority. That's what that is. If you're a Pentecostal Christian, you know exactly what that word means. Someone that usurps authority, someone that tries to take authority, power, by force. Now, what's interesting about this whole Socialist Party saga is that Fred Membe, in turn, dismissed, ejected, vomited Kelvin Kaunda from the Socialist Party. Kelvin Kaunda turned around and complained, "But why have you ejected me? Why have you removed me? I don't have any plans to replace you as the president of the Socialist Party. Why are you removing me?" You know what that's called in English? Those are called semantics. He's playing around with details. He knows good and hell well in his heart that what he did was wrong in as far as the Socialist Party is concerned. If you want to run for president, there is a channel. There is a way that you do it that puts you in good light. For example, you resign from the Socialist Party. You first of all announce your resignation from the Socialist Party. You say, "I was with the Socialist Party. I am no longer part of the Socialist Party. You hold a press conference, a press briefing to that effect, so that everybody knows and understands that you are no longer part of the Socialist Party conclave. But oh no, he chooses to do it the other way around. He first of all announces his desire, his plans, his machinations to run for president of this republic when he knows good and hell well he's still tethered. Legally, he's still tethered and tied, dovetailed to the SP, Socialist Party. It confuses the hell out of everybody when you do it that way. Now, people are, you see, Kelvin Kaunda now has brought into question not only his capacity, his organizational capacity. Not only that, it's brought into question his integrity as a politician. I know in many cases that's an oxymoron, but we'll go with that. It brings into question his integrity. I mean, on one hand, he's screaming bloody murder. He's saying, well, why are you getting rid of me? I didn't say I wanted to be president of the Socialist Party. Well, you may not have said it, but you did infer it. You did it by inference. You implied it. You sort of subliminally suggested it. And you denying it is a cunning way of you not taking responsibility for your actions. That's what that is. And as a politician, listen, politics is strewn with deceptive behavior. But for you to add fire to the fuel, I mean, that is your Waterloo. That is your Waterloo. So from today, never mind that Kelvin Kaunda has been associated with a very successful institution, Eden University. Never mind that, but the way he's handled this recent skirmish between him and the Socialist Party brings into question his integrity as a politician, notwithstanding his inability to express himself clearly using the English language. For me, that's a very big problem. So, in my view, I think that Kelvin has shot himself in the foot, and he has started off on a very bad note. He has launched his political career on a very bad note. That's my view. What's your view? Tell me in the comments below. Do you know, the more I drink this, the thirstier I become. What's going on? Thanks for watching. God bless. Love you.